What's up, guys? My name is Veronica, also known as Coach V, and I am your host for the Oversharing podcast with Live the Dream Media. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Oversharing podcast. I don't know if you guys can hear my car alarm, but it's going off, and David just came in to take my keys hostage, and hopefully he'll get that situated. Anyway, welcome back to another episode. I am so excited to be back here with you guys and our amazing guest today. We're going to start today's episode a little bit differently. Those of you that follow me on Instagram, I told you guys I was going to give you guys a little bit more of an insight onto Coach V's life and what's happening. I feel like sometimes I've peeled back from social media because I've tried to figure out what my line is between what's private and what's not. And I've just learned that just doesn't work for me. It can't be me. It could be you, and I love that for you, but I have really built a lot of relationships. I've built my business off the sole purpose of being who I am, and that involves me sharing a lot of what's going on in my life because that creates relatability. So here we are today, and I am going to start sharing a little bit more about myself and what I'm going through and the things that are happening in my life previous to bringing my guest on. So those of you that don't follow me on Instagram, I get in front of the phone all the time, and I don't have a problem with having conversations like this when I'm by myself. But when it's me and two guys in the studio and sometimes a guest, I feel like I rush through it and I don't really hit like those hard topics that I really want to talk about. And I've always told you guys it's really important to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I am going to slow down a little bit today, walk you guys through what's been going on, some of the fun things, some of the most serious things that are going on in my life. And we are going to go in strong with the amount of cheek clapping that we've been doing at the Orcada's household because we are trying to have a baby. Super excited about that. This is something that we've been working on for 2 months now. I don't know how to say it. Month one was a little crazy. I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to when you're ready, like you want things to just happen. And me, the person that I am, like I want things done yesterday. So I was tracking my ovulation. I was doing temperature checks. And I was making sure that, again, we were clapping cheeks left and right that entire week after my period. And the hardest thing about that was obviously the dreaded 2-week wait that everybody talks about. And again, I feel like sometimes people don't shine light on these topics and then it makes you feel like you're extra crazy. But when I posted this on my Instagram, I had so many people message me about one, either being in the phase of their life where they're trying to conceive a baby, or two, the 2-week wait that is so dreaded. And then also the emotions that come after getting a negative test result. So I swear that the brain is so freaking powerful because I could have sworn I was having all kinds of symptoms, but then again, I wasn't sure if it was pre-period symptoms. I didn't know if I was pregnant. I didn't know if it was too early to tell. And then I ended up getting my period. So then I was like, well, there's that. And then I realized that I was spiraling, and that's not good for me. As much control as I want to have in my life, that control wasn't good for me. So we definitely took a step back even just month 2 and decided, you know what? Like, we know around when we're ovulating, I ovulate pretty regularly. We're just going to take a step back. No ovulation testing, no temperature checks. I've just taken control of the things that I can control. If that's helpful to you, I really hope it is. But for me, it's obviously eliminating the amount of alcohol, which went to shit this weekend because I went to go see Brooks and Dunn. We'll talk about that in a second. But I don't drink often, so really peeling back from that, minimizing the amount of caffeine that I was having, make sure that I'm exercising and that my body feels good. That way, when my body is ready to store and grow a beautiful little baby, it's ready. And those are the things that I have control of. So if you are one in that dreaded 2-week wait, my biggest piece of advice would be take yourself away from it. Find something that's going to help you peel back from that thought of like, am I pregnant? Are these symptoms real? Are all these things? The thing that I did turn to, and I feel like I've been turning to a lot more in my life as I'm getting older, is my faith. And I don't talk about this very publicly because people have their different perspectives of what their faith looks like. And every time I said, like, I might be pregnant, I just kept telling myself God's perfect timing. And that was literally what got me through the last couple weeks and is getting me through this journey. Because I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how quick or easy it's going to be. I don't know what resources we're going to have to extend out to. But for right now, where I am, I just keep telling myself God's perfect timing, God's perfect timing. And I hope that it happens that way. And that's that part. So speaking about limiting the alcohol, I did not limit my alcohol at Brooks and Dunn this weekend. If you were there, I had the most amazing time with my friends at Brooks and Dunn this weekend. We had been looking forward to this for a while. Soto's going to put a picture of my fit because the fit was fitting. He's going to get it up there. I went with my best friend, Yvette and Nicole. And we just had such a good time. I sang my heart out. I cried. I laughed. We danced. Like, you could definitely tell we were like those girls, like standing the entire time that everyone was like, can somebody please sit these girls down because they're insane. But we had so much fun. And I just feel like Brooks and Dunn was like a really concrete part of my childhood. And it was the music that I remember listening to when my mom would drive me up to gymnastics. Like 90s country just hits different. So it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. There's plenty of other stories that we're going to save for another time, but I wanted to talk about one more thing, circling back into pregnancy. I did also mention this in my story a few days ago, maybe yesterday, actually. The only other thing that I'm doing, I know a lot of people have recommended some different prenatals, but I am taking supplements from a brand called Parallel. If you guys have a second, make sure you check them out. I listened to this girl that was on a podcast. It was a health and wellness podcast, and she's the founder of Parallel. So they created this company essentially to guide you through supplementation from conceiving all the way to postpartum, which I think is so important. People don't talk about, one, like the work that happens before you get pregnant. And then you have your first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and postpartum, which I hear is very difficult. But this company has set aside, like, there's science backed up to the stuff that you're supplementing according to where you're at. So right now I'm taking the fertility support. They also have a men's supplement package that they can take. And then once you conceive, you go to first trimester, and then you switch to second trimester, and then third, and then you switch to postpartum care, which I hadn't heard from a company before. So give them a check out. Again, it's Parallel Supplements. They have stuff for women and men. And that is pretty much it. I feel so much better ripping off the Band-Aid, getting a chance to talk to you guys a little bit just the way I do when I'm on Instagram. I just feel like a lot of this stuff is very beneficial for a lot of people, and it's very relatable. With that being said, we are going to cut to a quick sponsorship break, and then we're going to have our next guest come on, and I'm really excited, so we'll be right back. This episode of the Oversharing Podcast is brought to you by Strong as a Mother with Shauna Leanne. Join like-minded mothers working towards similar goals online or in person. Shauna's 6-week Strong as a Mother program focuses on movement, nutrition, mindset, and accountability for new and expecting mothers. Reach out to Shauna via Instagram and mention Podcast20 to receive 20% off your first 6 weeks.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with the tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net. We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
All right, guys, we are back and ready to rock and roll. We are so excited to have the next guest of the Oversharing podcast to overshare about all things law enforcement, being a woman in a male-dominated career. Our next guest has been a police officer for a local agency for close to 10 years. She has been a middle school resource officer and a lead member for the cadet program. She is a veteran who served 7 years in the Army National Guard. She is a mother of 2 beautiful babies, a wife, and a total fucking badass. Please welcome to the Oversharing podcast, Officer Ashley Alvarez. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You want to move this closer to you a little bit? Is that better?
Perfect. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Tiny but mighty, girl. How are you?
Good.
How was
Happy
your
to be here.
morning?
Very good.
It was like, I didn't even realize that it was Veterans Day. I realized it was Veterans Day yesterday, but I was like, that kind of worked out perfect.
Yes.
So happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Your kids, your husband. Get us all started. All the fun things.
All the things I love
Yes.
to talk about. I was born here in Tucson.
Okay.
I am married. I'm 30 years old. I started my career when I was 20 years old. So, yes, almost 10 years in this career field. My husband is also in law enforcement, so that's going to be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
My kiddos, I have a 5-year-old little boy, Mateo, and my baby girl is
Frankie.
18 months. Yes, Frankie.
I love that name. I was literally telling my husband last night, I was like, what do you think about the name Charlie? Because I like that. I like boys that are like names that are boy
Yes.
and girl. And he was like, no. I was like, dang, dude, this is going to be really hard when we get there.
Yes, so we didn't know with our second one.
Yeah.
The gender.
Yeah, you guys
So
just waited.
Frankie was boy or girl,
Yeah.
named after my grandfather and my dad.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
That's super sweet. So tell us, what high school did you go to here in Tucson?
Tucson High.
Tucson High. Were you a
Yes,
cheerleader?
I was.
Hey! It makes sense. One of my clients this morning was like, your guest who you posted, she looks so small. I was like, she's tiny. I said, but she'll still fuck you up. I said, she's a police officer.
True story.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the National Guard first,
Yes.
and then you transitioned into
Police
police
work,
department.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So right out of high school, I joined the National Guard. What drew me to that, I have an older cousin who's in the Army, very successful, was such a huge role model for me. And I had always wanted to go to college first. Like, that was my plan, ROTC, college. And then as it got closer to graduation, I was like, I just want to go.
I'm good to
So,
go.
yeah.
Did you do ROTC in school?
No.
I feel like that would have been a big turning point for me because I feel like when you're in school, you don't realize like all the programs that you have when you're just in one bubble.
Yes.
And I was also a cheerleader. But now thinking about it, I'm like, dang, if I would have dipped my toes into like ROTC, maybe that would have really ripped the Band-Aid for me to like do, like really pursue. I mean,
Yes.
that's what I didn't go to school for that, but I went to school for administration of justice because I wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out for me. It'll always be, we talked about this before, like a little chirp on my finger because I feel like it would have been good. Like I feel like I talk to people well.
You would have been great.
But now that I'm older, I'm like, it's just, it wasn't in the cards and that's okay.
Yeah,
you know?
it is okay. You
So
have
you-
a great
Go
career.
ahead. Thank you. So you went into the National Guard right after high school.
Yes.
What was basic training like, going from like living at home with your parents and going straight to being told what time to eat, sleep, and shit every
Yeah.
single day?
It was rough. I had never been away from home. I had just turned 18. Never been away from my parents. I'm the baby, so
Yeah.
used to getting my clothes washed for me. Like everything. I had never had to be independent.
Yeah.
And when I went, it was a huge shock. I mean,
A rude
obviously,
awakening.
Yeah, obviously you expect it. You hear about like all the yelling, the getting up early, the physical part. But it was huge, and it was hard for me, but also like probably the hardest thing for my parents.
Yeah.
My mom told me after the fact, Not while I was there, but that she cried every morning. That she would like just get in the shower and cry. Yeah, and we didn't get our phones, obviously. They take those away, but maybe twice during basic they gave us our phone to call home. And I couldn't even talk to my mom.
And they give you like a minute because you're just crying.
And our phones are not charged.
You're like, I want to tell you how much I love you.
Yes.
And I hate it here. Come pick me up. That's insane.
Yes, but I truly like, I feel like with the Army, that's led me into my career now.
Yes.
So I'm super thankful for it.
Do you feel like, obviously again, we can talk about your size forever because you are really tiny. Was that a big contributing factor to how hard training was compared to like a guy that's 6 feet tall and has to do a bunch of stuff, you know?
So we would rucksack. So we would fill our huge backpack with a ton of weight and we would go on mile-long overnight rucksacks. Like we would be out in the forest rucking. They would always put me at the front of the line to set the pace.
Yeah.
Because I was the shortest, smallest. And they're like, her short legs, we have to make sure she's good.
Yeah, and also that she can imagine the gap they would create.
Yes.
You're like, wait for me, I got little legs.
So I'd fall back. I'd start first, but I'd end up at the back. Like, but I had some great. We become a family. We're with each other 24/7, and the guys would be like, "Let me lift you
Ashley,
up."
you got it.
They would lift it for me. They would like. Everyone wanted to see everyone succeed.
Yeah.
And I did it. By the end, I was able to finish those and be good.
That's crazy. So how long was basic training? 6 months? Or is it a lot quicker for the Army?
I went in December and I finished in April.
So like 4 or 5 months, roughly.
5 months, yeah.
That must have been really emotional coming back to your mom.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she probably went to your graduation, I'm sure.
Yes.
What was that like?
So we get a day to be with our family, and then after that day, you go to your training. So you're
Gone
once
again.
Gone from them. And that one day, like my mom, I just spent it hugging my mom pretty much all day. Like,
You're like, let me just be right here under your armpit.
Yes, all day.
That's crazy. And then, so you finish up, you go to your...
So whatever career you choose, your job, then you go to your specialty training.
And what was your career chosen after through the National Guard?
Aviation operations, which
Planes.
is, for helicopters, anything. I was going to a aviation unit that had Apache helicopters. So a simple way to put it is like a radio traffic control.
Okay, cool.
You issue the pilots their equipment. You keep in contact with them over the radios, make sure they're good. That was fun.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
So when you come back, because the reserve is a little bit different, right, than being full-time.
Yes.
Because you're not stationed there based after that. You get to come back and then you serve your time once a month, every first weekend of the month, right? I know that. So a shout out to Alexis and Dylan because they work for the Air Force and they are like our friend veterans. So happy Veterans Day, guys. Late Veterans Day. But so you come back right away and then do you apply for the department right away?
No. So when I came back, I was 19.
And you have to be 21, right?
You have to turn 21 by the time you finish the academy.
Okay.
So, didn't know I wanted to do police work. I was like, I'm gonna find a job, and I did. I worked at like little jobs here and there. I worked at Safeway. I worked at Boot Barn. I worked at like.
She was the plug at Boot Barn.
And then it just got to the point where I'm like, I need a career.
Yeah.
My dream career had always been to do something with kids, whether that be a teacher, something with kids. And then I became a preschool teacher. I did that for a little bit.
I had no idea you were a preschool teacher. That's like two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. You were a preschool teacher and then you were like, let me be a police officer instead.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about that. Tell us about being a preschool teacher and what the shift was.
So I was like an aide for the teacher. And I liked it for a little bit, but quickly realized like I cannot make a career out of this.
Yeah.
I missed the Army quite a bit. Like I was like, I want something with that camaraderie. I want something with
The
that
structure.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, maybe I'll apply to be a police officer. Did no research. Did no ride-alongs. Like TPD is hiring.
Yeah.
I'm gonna apply. So that's where it all started. I went and took my PT test, my written test, and I was...
Your interview, the oral board.
Yeah. And then the whole process took maybe like 5 months because they do a background on you.
Yeah.
They go talk to your parents. They go talk to your neighbors.
Employers, everything.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't know this about me, but I went through that process with Pima County Sheriff's Department. Actually, I can't remember which one it was that I made it all the way to the oral board. I think it was customs at that point. I failed the polygraph, which I fucking hate. And everybody that I talked to is like, I made it all the way, or like people that didn't get in it's the polygraph.
Yeah.
And people have told me like people that have gotten in that they did it 2 or 3 times before they got in. But I remember like how insane the oral board was for that. And I don't know if it was any different for TPD at that point, but it was so like, okay, but are you sure? Like, are you sure that that's your answer? And you have to be like, I don't know, is that my answer? It's so intimidating.
I don't remember TPD's process. That's who I first applied with, and I don't really remember too much. It was very quick. Like they had, because they have tons of applicants, they had like 10 different oral boards going on around this.
That's crazy.
One building. So it's just like.
Get in and get out.
Which I ended up passing. And I got my email that I was offered a job.
And here we go to the academy.
20 years old.
Dang. And so how many girls were there in the academy when you did the academy for TPD?
6 of us.
6?
Yeah.
Did you by any chance know? I think there was a girl, her name was Corinne.
Yeah.
So did you used to hang out with her? Is
Yes.
that how I know you?
Yes.
Okay, because I used to date Nate.
Yes.
And Nate and Corinne and you were
Yes.
really close.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I knew that there was some
Yes.
attachment there before this next apartment.
Yes.
Okay, I remember now. Dude, we used to hang out at the Maverick.
Yes.
We used to get fucked up at the Maverick. Dollar beers, Friday night. I remember Nate would be like, yeah, those girls work for TPD. I'd be like, those bitches are badass.
Yes.
And is Corinne still in the department?
Yes.
She is?
She is like definition of badass.
Yeah.
Love her.
I remember talking to her at one point, and this could be like a blurry conversation because it was so long ago. I knew you before I knew you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I remember asking her, like, what's it like, first, I mean, we'll get to some of these questions, but I remember asking her specifically, like, aren't you scared? And she was like, you'd be surprised how many times I showed up and officers before me were like having a hard time with an arrest, and then I'd walk in and they'd be like, all right, turn around, here you go, like take me, put me, handcuff me, I'm done. Like they don't want to be like disrespectful. And I'm like, that's wild to think the world that we live in, to a female officer walking in, someone being like, take me right now. And I remember that conversation. It must have been with her because you guys are one of the 2 people that I knew were in the department. And after that, I did a ride along with Pima County.
Okay.
And it was a fucking sick ass ride along. It was a good one.
They are busy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're constant. They get calls constantly.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're gonna get. On the ride along.
And with TPD, I mean, for a long time, I think they're still kind of understaffed. So they've gotten pretty busy too, as far as department wise.
They will always be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was like, I know that there's
I know.
history here. I was like, I know there is.
Yes.
Okay, so then you get into the academy.
Yes.
Was she in your class?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Perfect.
So, the academy, I tell everyone this, it's the funnest thing I would never want to do again.
You're like, it was so fun. I fucking hated every moment of it. Question before I forget.
Yes.
When you transfer, do you have to do another academy? You just transfer?
No, you just transfer.
Okay, cool. So tell us about the academy.
So very physically demanding.
Harder than the
Yes.
National Guard? Mm-hmm. Okay.
But maybe that prepped me for it.
Yeah.
Because when it came to like the yelling,
You
what
already
they call
knew.
smoking, like I was okay.
Yeah. You're like, okay.
Yeah. And I do, that's where I give credit to the Army because it prepared me.
Yeah.
But yeah, physically demanding. Second day, they are like, okay, you're going to fight each other. I'm like, I've never been in a fight, but okay.
You're like, all right, I guess here we go. Let's square up.
And the girl they put me with, I had like become very close to prior to the academy, and I think they knew that.
Oh, man.
We're like, gave each other a hug, and we're like,
I'm so
just do
sorry.
Really good. It's okay if you
It's
hurt
fine.
me.
It's fine. Yeah. They mask you guys, or they
Yeah.
like helmet you guys and give you gloves and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that at one of like their, we'll call them the promo videos.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's only day 2.
Day 2.
Dang, girl.
They they put you through like a little workout burpees, running.
Like
and they're like, go
exhaust
in there.
you.
Yeah, go in there and fight. So that's day 2. And then you do that throughout the academy. They teach you defensive tactics, which is super important, especially someone my size.
Yeah, you got to
So
know
I
how
was
to
like,
defend yourself.
I'm paying attention real good in this class. Like, I need to know all of this. But, yeah, not only, a lot of people think, like, yes, it's physically demanding, but it's kind of like going to school. You're learning all these laws.
Yeah.
And you have a test every week, and you cannot fail.
Yeah.
So my weekends turned into studying, which I had not done in a very long time.
Yeah.
It was like flashcards and groups.
Knowing
Yeah.
everything. And not to mention how emotionally taxing it is. Like, to separate yourself for a short amount of time, even from family and friends, from like going out to studying and like putting all your marbles in this one basket. I think the only thing that I would assume keeps you going is like, it's only temporary. Like, I'm
Yes.
going to get through this and then that'll be it.
Yes, and this is my career. Like, I'm working very hard to have a career that I really want. But yeah, literally, it becomes your life.
Yeah.
You go home, you iron your uniform, you make sure your boots are shined, you make sure you get to bed early, you pack your lunch, and then you do it
And do it all over again.
all over again the next day.
And how long was that academy?
April through
16
July.
weeks.
It's a little bit longer now. But
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That's wild. That's a long. I mean, it's a long time. It eases up after a while. It becomes more like of like the learning, the actual job, and then the driving and the shooting. And I'm sure that becomes like a little bit more fun. So you stay on with TPD for how long before you transfer?
I was in FTO, which is field training, and I like to think that I did really well throughout the academy. I was like, I love this. I'm really excited for this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And then when I got out to the streets, I had some rethinking. It was a lot for me.
Yeah.
I was going home very stressed, very like second guessing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
maybe this isn't
What
for me.
unit were you in when you were working TPD?
I was working the South Side.
Which is another story within its own.
Yeah.
And in that phase, because I'm sure you can talk a little bit more about that and not so much the department that we're in right now, but what was like the biggest things you were seeing down on the South Side? Were you dealing with like a lot of domestic violence? Was it more of like whatever you got? And
It's everything.
yeah.
It's everything, and it's go, 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 go.
Doesn't stop.
Like, it's we get done with the call, we're going to the next one. Get done, going to the next one, and you're just going with
I
it.
feel like you don't even have time to like process what just happened over
Yes,
there before
you
you're
really
thrown into
don't.
over here.
You really don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's
And then you get home and you're like,
yes.
like, did all that just happen? Yeah.
Yes. So again, like, I went home and talked to my mom. Like, and my parents, being parents, were like, you just worked so hard for this. Give it some more time, which I did. I continued a little bit more. And then one day I went in. I was on midnights, so it was like 9 o'clock at night. I went in, and I saw someone who had been an officer there for a while, who I looked at as a mentor. She was a counselor in the academy, which they give you. They give you like experienced officers in the academy to go to
Counsel you for.
So someone that I was very comfortable and familiar with, I saw her and she's like, "How's it going?"
And you're like, I fucking hate it.
I literally just broke down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think this is for me. And it was that night that I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
They talked to me like, do you want to go to a different area? Like, do you want to try something else? Like, we don't want to lose you. But at that time, I would think I had my mind made up.
Yeah. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah. It wasn't like something huge that happened. It was just
A
in
mixture
my
of
head.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, in my head. And this is where I will tell people who are applying, like, do your research, do ride-alongs, look at every department.
Yeah.
Because after this, I found my current department, which I absolutely
love. Yeah.
And it's not to say, like, I think I could have succeeded if I would have just thought about it a little bit more, done my research. I think I could have succeeded there.
Like almost like you were a little bit more mentally prepared for what it was like to be an officer in that department.
Yeah.
Which I just told you right now when I was at Dutch Bros, one of the guy, he's a kid, and he was saying that. He was like, yeah, he's like, X department that you're at is like really well known for like their community. He's like, I don't think TPD could do something like that. He's like, but it makes sense because TPD is over there like fighting for their lives. Like they don't have time to do all this community stuff. And I was like, that makes sense. Like you got to give credit where it's due. We're going to pause right there and we're going to come right back after a break.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with the tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Your favorite radio just got bigger, bolder, and better connected. Live the Dream Media is revolutionizing how you stay tuned in. With our explosive growth in online radio and our brand new mobile app, your entertainment goes wherever you do. Stream your favorite shows, discover new hits, and connect with audiences across the digital landscape, all at your fingertips. Advertisers don't miss out. Join our expanding digital network and reach engaged listeners across platforms. Download the Live the Dream Media app today and experience radio reimagined.
All right, guys, we are back. Hey, before I forget, I want to let you guys know we have this new feature where you guys could call in and talk some shit. You don't have to talk shit. I'm just saying. You can call in 520-477-1106. You can ask me or Ashley any questions. Yeah, I just want to share that with you guys before I forgot. But we're going to hop right back into what we were talking about. I have we've touched on a few of these questions already. But so you mentioned your husband is also in the department.
Yes.
You switch over. Did you meet him right away?
Yes.
Yeah? You're like, yep, that's my boo.
Not right. That came later. He was
trying to be respectful in the workplace. Hey, my man too. It's all right. A lot of people are like, you shouldn't shit where you eat. I'm like, I shat. I shit where I ate, and it worked out great. But to each their own.
It has worked out great, and we worked on the same squad, and he just became. He's so funny. He's like the goofy guy. Everyone's always laughing at him. He's always cracking jokes, but also very good at his job. So I was like, oh, he's funny and he's smart.
Yeah. This is a PSA to all girls. If he can make you laugh, he can make you take your 20s off. It's true.
Yes,
if a guy can make you laugh, he's in, at least halfway, in for the win.
You have to be funny.
And also, if you guys worked in the same unit for a while, that means you guys were friends first.
We were, and that's what it was.
Such a big thing.
Genuinely, he was just a great friend at first.
Yeah.
I liked working with him. He was smart. He was helpful and, again, funny. And then it wasn't until a year after working together where he finally was like...
He's like, I like you.
Yeah.
Those of you guys that are watching and you guys have seen David in the booth, David actually worked with them as well.
Yes.
So David and her husband they did the same academy,
yes.
right? So that was pretty cool to kind of link those things together.
Yes.
He was really excited that you were coming on.
David was, again, a great mentor for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
We love you, David. We love you, Big D. So many different avenues here, but what is the hardest thing about having a household with both parents in law enforcement, and what's that like?
So communication is very important because our schedules can be kind of crazy. I have a pretty set schedule, but with what he's doing, he can work some different hours sometimes. Nothing too crazy, But
Because he's working a special unit, right?
Yes.
Okay,
When we
I love that.
first started dating, or when we first lived together, so every 6 months our schedule changes. We have the opportunity. They call us, and based on your seniority, you can go to certain squads. So he has more seniority, and we were on different shifts at this time, so we weren't together when they called us. And he picked one squad, and I picked another, thinking that we were going to have the same days off. And then
it
we
was not.
communicated, and we were like on completely separate days off.
Oh,
So we
man.
never saw each other. So we learned really quick that we needed to communicate and like plan
And be
ahead.
effective. Yeah. I also feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but having someone that understands the depth of your job makes your relationship a little bit easier because for whatever reason, it's a fucked up day, you come home and you just need to decompress. If someone isn't in that field, it's way harder for that person to
Yes.
understand that you need to just give me a second, you know?
Absolutely. As much as people say, like, don't take your work home, don't talk, especially like
It's hard.
couples who are in this field, like, don't talk about work at home, like, leave that.
It's easier
I'm going to
said
be
than
honest,
done.
like, we talk a lot about, like, oh, did you see this? Or this is what happened today. We do. And it's
Yeah.
because I know, like, not only am I decompressing, but he'll also like, check me, like, hey, you could have done this better. Or,
Yeah.
like, you're telling me you did this. And I'll ask him, like, what could have I
done differently?
Better? Yeah, like, I don't feel good about this. Like, what is your opinion?
Yeah.
And he'll say, well, you
fucked
could've-
up.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's hard.
Yes, but
That's hard.
But I appreciate his feedback.
Yeah.
And, I love that I can go to him, especially like when I'm stressed about things, and he's probably stressed about it too. Like when we're
Yeah.
going to a training, like it's very nice to have
It's
someone.
nice to have someone that understands.
But when it comes to my kids, I think about that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
they have two parents in law
In law
enforcement
enforcement.
who have crazy schedules sometimes and might miss out on birthdays or holidays, which right now, like, I try to do everything to be with them.
Yeah.
Like, they are my priority. I will never ever put work before my kids.
Yeah.
So if it's their birthday, I'm taking the day off. If it's a holiday, I'm doing everything
Yeah.
I can to get those days off.
I love that. And I think that that's a really good conversation to have about when we think about women in their career, sometimes other things take, a back seat. For me, particularly, the idea of where I'm at in my life and being a police officer right now is like, would that even fit with like me trying to start a family? Like, is that something that I could do? But you did it. And that just kind of shows that you're in a space where there's room for you to be successful, a badass, build a career, but your kids haven't taken a backseat. So can you tell us about how you've created that balance? Was that just with time, with seniority, switching, like not careers, but you can switch into different things while you're in the department?
Yes.
So how did you manage that switch of like officer, just you, your husband, you guys got married, and then also now thinking about what it has to be like for your kids?
Yeah. So we got pregnant pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like, after dating.
2020, right?
We got pregnant
Because
in
you guys got
2017.
you guys
We had
got
a
married
miscarriage.
in like, okay, we'll talk a little bit about that. You guys got married during COVID or like end
Yes,
of COVID.
2020.
I remember because I remember this video of all you guys jumping in the pool. And I was like, that is fucking sick, dude. In your wedding dress and everything.
Yes.
How cool.
It
Okay.
was fun.
And you had your baby boy by then.
Yes, he was 3.
Okay.
2 or 3.
That's awesome. So you guys got pregnant pretty quickly. You guys dated for a little bit and got pregnant.
Yes. So we started dating in 2016. No, 2017. Got pregnant really quickly. Got pregnant in 2017.
Yeah.
And then had a miscarriage.
I'm sorry. That sucks.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, thankful for him. He helped me
Yeah.
get through that. And learning how like common it is.
Yeah.
That females have miscarriages. But yes, so that happened. And then we got pregnant with my son in 2018. Because after that, I was like, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
The first one was a surprise.
And then the second time you're like, I'm ready to have a
I
baby.
want one. Like, I really do want one. And was blessed with my son. Had him in 2019. And it just so happened that this position was opening up at work. It's called the Community Resource Officer. And it's most of the time a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Yeah.
I was pregnant when I applied. I was pregnant when I interviewed for it, and luckily I
got it. Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that that's the way my career's worked out, because I got to work a normal job, holidays off, and
also protect yourself and your baby, because I'm sure there's probably rules and regulations for like women that do get pregnant in law enforcement. Like, at what point do they pull them off the field? Like almost immediately, or does that happen a little bit down the road?
So I remember when I first got pregnant, I was like super, and I'll probably talk about this later, but I when I first started, I cared so much what other people thought.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. Like, I'm
going to keep my mouth shut.
I can't say I'm pregnant. Like, people will think this, and this. So I continued working on patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only person who knew was my husband.
Yeah.
And then he finally was like, no.
You need to tell somebody.
Because I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot. And he's like, you're going to end up hurting yourself. Like, this isn't good.
We love him for that.
Yes.
Thank you, husband.
Yes.
That's a good avenue to talk about, like, what it's like to be a female working in a male-dominated career. Because what you just said is, like, validating to probably what women feel is, like, you have so much more to prove that even, like, something as beautiful as getting pregnant has to be hidden because you don't know how everyone's going to respond because you're new or because you're a girl. Like, are you going to get different treatment and all these things? And as much as people want to say, like, no, that doesn't happen. No, it does happen.
Yeah.
Especially when you're 1 in 20, you know, like, I'm sure it's like way outnumbered of male to female officers in every department.
Yes. So finally I told my supervisor, and it was up to me if I wanted to continue on being on patrol or go to like a desk job.
Yeah.
So I took the desk job, and the second time around with my son, I learned that, like, and this is I'm constantly reminding myself of this. Like, I'm not going to care what people think. I had a miscarriage. I'm going to say something right away, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I think that's hard to learn, like, as a female. Like, I don't have to care. What people think of me is none of my business.
Yeah.
Like,
and that comes with time.
Yes, it absolutely did.
Yeah. Did you go right back to patrolling when you had your miscarriage?
Yes.
Or did you stay at desk?
No, I went
back to patrolling.
And I'm super thankful. Like, everyone I work with, again, becomes family. Super supportive. What do you need? Like,
how can we help?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I love my work family. I really do. And so my son had him, and then I was in that position, which worked out great for me and my family.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 4 years, and then I had my daughter.
Frankie.
Yes.
I love that. What is the hardest lesson you've learned about being a woman in law enforcement?
I'll say, so when I first started, 20-year-old me, I'm like, I need to be one of the guys. I need to match their energy. Like, I set these huge standards for myself. And I think that's why, has a lot to do why I left my first department, because I had these huge standards for myself that I was just like, I can't do this and this isn't for me. Like, I feel way less than all these other people.
Yeah.
And I'm just not good enough.
Yeah.
But with age, I've learned that I'm not going to care what people think of me. I know what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yes, there's guys who have different strengths than me, but I have different strengths
than them
that I'm going to bring to the table, and I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to weigh in on those.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm bringing to the table. And if you like it,
great.
Yeah. If you don't, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be a girl. It's okay to be feminine. It's okay to, I'm going to be who I am, and I'm not going to change that.
Yeah.
I know my heart. I know why I want to do this job, and that's all I need to know.
And that you said that perfectly, but there's so many qualities that you have, even just as a woman, that men could never. And I think that you're forgetting the part where there's going to be some situations where men cannot handle those situations the way you could. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just the nature of being a female, being a natural nurturer in a situation where men probably don't know how to do that, you know? And I feel like that's important. Like, that is why I'm not saying that a woman is stronger than a man. Scientifically, that's probably very inconsistent. There's very small amounts of women that are stronger than a certain kind of man. But I feel like that brings so much value to the department that you're in, to women in law enforcement, is that like being a little bit more steady. Like, you don't know what calls you're getting, whether it's like there's a kid here that needs a mom or like a female role model just for a second to hold a baby while dad is being a piece of shit or whatever the situation is, you know? And I think that you said that just so perfectly. Like, you have so many qualities that they may not have. And that is the beauty of like being a woman, being able to do it all, but also sticking into your femininity and being like, these are the things that I can contribute.
I'm not going to try to pretend to be, I'm 4'11". I'm not going to try.
I'm not 6 foot by any means.
But you want someone to listen, and like I feel like I have a lot of empathy and
understanding. Being able to listen to people.
De-escalate situations by just talking rather than going in
yelling.
And like,
Well, we can talk about this because a while back I remember seeing you on the news because you pulled a man over. You're going to have to tell me the context of the story, but you pulled a man over, and did he call the department and just said how
made
great?
A video.
I love this for him. Okay, tell me more.
So it was late at night. He had, I think, one of his taillights were out. Pulled him over, just educated him. He had no idea, which most people don't go to the back of their car
before they turn it on.
So he had no idea, just told him, hey, just wanted to let you know it's out, educated him on the law, and gave him a warning, and that was it. And at this time, there was so much negativity in the news. Yeah,
it was around 2020.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
About law enforcement.
Police brutality, law enforcement, all that stuff.
So that night when we're debriefing, like towards the end of my shift, I get a video from someone on Facebook, and it's like, this guy's talking about you. You should look at this. And my automatic...
You're like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
What did I do?
And it's in a time where everything was very sensitive.
Yes.
So you could have easily been like, oh my God, like I totally fucked up, didn't I? And then things get blown up, and then people start sharing it, and then it turns into this whole thing that wasn't even a thing in the beginning.
Yes. And immediately I was getting tagged, share. And I didn't want to watch it until I got home. And then I actually sent it to my sister, I think, and I was like, can you watch this?
Tell me if I'm prepared to watch this or not. I'm so scared.
And then I watched it, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What did he say? Tell us what he said.
He had very negative encounters with law enforcement previously, and was just very surprised on my interaction with him. Said I, approached him with kindness. And that was like the biggest thing, that I was just kind to him. And he took that, and it meant a lot to him.
Yeah. That took off. Like, that was like a news story for KOLD, I believe, if I'm not confused. But I remember seeing that, and I'm like, that would be her. That makes perfect sense. Like, I think it's, again, like the simple things in life, like being kind.
Yes.
Being respectful. Everybody's human. All those fun things.
Yes, and that's how I operate every day. Like, I will be kind to you until you give me a reason to not be kind. And then there's another side of me. But most of the time, I'm going to operate with
After
kindness.
that, you'll catch these hands. All right, we're coming close to the end, but there's a few Instagram questions that I wanted to ask you, people that comment on our question box. So the first one is, how do you balance being a mother and working such an intense job? And that question was from Meg.
So I have a very strong support system. My in-laws and my parents are constantly helping me with the kids. And no matter how tired I am when I get home, I have to make time for them.
It's penciled in.
Yeah. I have enough seniority now where I do get to work a pretty decent schedule. I work Sunday through Wednesday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I still get evenings with them. I put them to bed. I do the whole nighttime, and then Dad does the mornings with them. So I rely a lot on my support system, my family.
Your tribe.
Yeah. Without them, I don't think I'd be able to do this job, because childcare is crazy.
Yeah.
And they are always like pick up at school,
Yeah.
getting my daughter, getting them home to me. Like I'm just super thankful
That's
for
awesome.
each and every one of them.
I'm sure they're probably listening. So thanks, everybody.
Yes, thanks, ma'am.
Let me see. What's your biggest piece of advice for any woman who wants to be in any kind of law enforcement? And that's from Karina.
Just be who you are. Stay true to yourself. Remember that you do not have to try to be anyone else. Like, don't try to go outside of what you're comfortable doing and who you're comfortable being. Stay true to yourself, and I think that will get you pretty far.
Perfect. It's worked for you, girlfriend.
Yes.
How do you recommend? Oh, this is a good one. And I have a little bit of a story with this. So probably last weekend, my brother came down from Phoenix and he was telling me he went to go have lunch with one of his friends. And his friend was telling my brother, who then told me, that he went to work out at Planet Fitness on Oracle, and then he went up to Sprouts, Oracle and Ina. Mm-hmm. And that this girl, like he's like watching this girl come out of the Sprouts store. And in that same moment, these two guys are like starting to like wrap around her car. And he concealed carries all the time. We didn't know this about him, but he does. And you can tell like the girl just freezes. Like she can tell like whatever it is, it's not good, and just freezes. So he turns on his car, sticks his gun out on the side of the window, and I think honks. And then the guys just leave. So he follows the girl home or whatever. So I made a TikTok, and I don't know if you saw it because you're on TikTok.
Yes.
It went viral, dude. It was like 100,000 views on TikTok. Literally, nothing else in my life goes viral except for loving and caring for the women of the community. And I was like, hey, just a PSA, like, if you're in Tucson, like, just be safe. Like, and I think
yes,
that
I
goes
did
to
see this.
say with
Yes.
anybody, right? And anywhere, you want to be safe, but we've gotten so comfortable, and I shared that, where we post where we're going, what we're doing, we tag a restaurant or whatever. And most of the time, I'm not always by myself, but yes, I do go to Hobby Lobby. I go to this, and I notice people all the time. I'm like, they're literally walking to the store with their fucking
Yes.
eyes down on their phone. And I'm
Yeah.
like, look around. And I don't know where
That's so
this
funny you say
came
that.
on my part, but I'm so anal about paying attention. One at the grocery store, in the parking lot. Like, I will park as close to the front as I can. I always tell people the man upstairs always saves me a parking spot, or I always park right next to the carts because then I can put my cart and get back into my car. I'm always looking around. There's been a couple of times where I've texted my husband and I'm like, this is what I'm wearing, and this is what I'm seeing. Like, there's a man and he's like, okay. Like, and I don't think that it's the best quality to have. It's almost like you're like super paranoid. But I made that video because people don't pay attention. And it went super viral. And one of the girls was like, hey, how do you recommend women stay safe when they're out at night, when they're by themselves, when they're at the grocery store? Coming from someone that works in law enforcement, what would you tell women?
That's funny that you say the whole phone thing, because on your little outline, that's what I was going to talk about. Get off your phone.
Get off your fucking phone.
Because I'll see a lot of people sit in the parking lot. Even after they're done shopping, they'll just sit on their phone. It's late at night. They just sit. And things can be going on around you. Like,
someone
pay
could be
attention,
following
get
you.
out of there. Like, get in your car, get out.
Yeah.
And just being aware. If something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Like, go with your gut. And
I think that part, the going with your gut, like I tell people all the time, like, you might as well, I much rather make a scene
yes.
and know that it was nothing than be kidnapped. Like, and I always tell people, I'm like, I'm not their choice anymore. I'm 30. Like, they're looking for these young little girls. And now I'm like, no, dude, they don't care. Like, and again, I don't know what the rate of anything is in Tucson at this point. But I also told people, I'm like, and this is really uncomfortable, but I've done this before too, where if I feel like someone's following me in the store, I'm like, do you need something?
Yeah.
Can I help you with something? Like, I want you to know that I am seeing you.
Yes.
And then I've also asked people to walk me out.
Yes.
I've been like, hey, can you walk me to my car? Like, I think I've done it at Fry's. I think just Fry's, because that's usually where I go to, where I'm like, hey, like, this guy's sus. Like, can you walk me out? And most of the time it's, yeah, sure, no big deal, you know?
Yes. I recommend, like, if you do feel something is not right, tell someone. And like you said, let them know, like, hey, I see you.
Yeah. You're not going to catch me blindsided here.
Yeah.
What is protocol for something like that? Like, if, like, I don't know, is there protocol? Like, if you know, because I think it's very natural to feel frozen. I know what that feeling's like, but do you kick, scream, yell? Like what would you suggest people would do if they are getting picked up or whatever?
Yeah, be loud.
Be loud. Be loud, girlfriend. Use your cheer voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Be loud. I share my location with my family. I don't know how people feel about that, but I like for my husband to know where I am.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good tool to use.
Yeah.
And I share it with, I like to know, like, if my mom is somewhere, like, if I can't get a hold of her, I just like to make sure, okay, she's
Where
okay.
is she? Yeah, she's good. Yeah. Okay, last question. This was from your buddy David, and he says, how do you cope with post-horrific experiences? Do you exercise? Do you do therapy? What do you do? Because we know that you guys see some fucked up shit.
Yeah. There's some things that just don't sit well, and they may not sit well for quite a while. This is where, like, I really praise my department because they have what's called peer support, which I'm also a member of. Because, again, like you mentioned earlier, sometimes talking to people who are in the career, you're gonna relate to them more than someone who doesn't get it.
Who doesn't understand.
But yes, I got trained in that. So if like another officer has something they want to talk about, it's all in confidence. Like I do not have to share that with my
anybody
superiors.
else. Yeah.
Like I've gotten that training where that protects them and me from needing to share that. And recognizing, not only for me, but if I see someone at work going through stuff, like being able to recognize those signs. But for me personally, my kids are
your outlet.
Yeah. My kids. I love just being able to get to spend time with them on my days off. We like to do things a lot. Whether it's going out
to the
to
park
eat,
or whatever it is.
My kids, I will always say, like, they are my huge.
Yeah. I love
my
that.
biggest supporters, and they don't even know it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So obviously there's like a lot that we can't really share about the actual department, but would you feel comfortable if anyone that has any questions about law enforcement message you directly? Yeah. Perfect. Before we go, thank you so much for coming today. It was a great conversation. I know that schedules get busy, but I'm so glad that you came.
I am too. Thank you.
What is that? Is that a chat? What is happening? What's happening?
I'm just throwing this in there. I remember Dave said he had a question that he told you on Instagram to ask.
That was the last one.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I got it. Let everybody know where they can find you. And then what else was I going to tell you? I think I was going to tell you something else. Is that it? I think that's it, girlfriend. Let them know where they can find you. And then I'll chime in after that.
Mateo and Frankie's mum.
Mum, M-U-M.
Yes. Frankie is Frankee.
Perfect.
On Instagram.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your service. Happy late Veterans Day.
Thank you.
And you guys know where to find me, allthings.GP Soto on Instagram. Guys, our show gets better when you comment, like, give it a rate, share it to somebody that wants to be in law enforcement today. Whatever it is, do it. Please. And tag me when you listen in. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you guys next week.